Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock. Let's go over the market. Let's talk about what is happening to Tesla stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, my thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open on Tesla stock. And as of right now, sometimes other stocks as well. I might be changing away the tier system and the way it works in the coming future. I'm not sure yet. But as of right now, mainly Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks as well. Or for $5 a month, you get access to the first tier, plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. But all that being said and done, let's jump into it. Tesla closing the day up, actually I should say, I was about to say down, up almost 2% on the day, closing at just above $360 per share, which is good and bad. It's in a little bit of a limbo land here, I would say, but let's just go over the overall basics, right? So let me remove the bands for now, the bands, just so it's not too confusing and looks too weird. Again, I'm used to looking at it like that, but I'm sure not everyone is. So what does this actually mean? So I want to start off with the 1 hour chart first, right? The 1 hour chart, remember I mentioned how we had that little bit of a bull flag setting up and, we should get that pop, which we did. We popped it as high as, what did we go to? We went to 367. Actually, we got pretty close to my 370 target, I have to say. For some reason, I thought it was, maybe because I had this thing up here, I was expecting it to go here. But, we did get a pop close to 370, right? Pretty damn close, but I still don't think it's fully done yet. I actually still think we can get an actual pop, like actually into the 370s, like 373, 4, 5, something like that, like a little bit more convincingly into the 370s as opposed to this kind of tease, if you will, almost right here, right? That's kind of my main perspective still, and I actually still hold that as of right now, right? And there's a few reasons why. Well, first of all, we had this nice little breakout. Technically speaking, this little bullish wedge, if you really want to measure it, you can measure it like this, and then you can technically measure from the breakout, and you can even make an argument that closer to 390 even, like, or at the very least poking your head into the 380s is not, impossible, I guess you can say, off this kind of more or less, I don't know, impulsive. I'm not sure if impulsive is the right word here, but essentially this move up that we're currently experiencing, that we're still technically in. So that's good. We're also holding the market bias on the 1 hour. You can see we kind of came right back into it again, and we're definitely holding. You can see like the last kind of 2 hours over here, we came back into it, and we are roughly holding around that area. So essentially the caveat is pretty simple. I want Tesla to pretty much continue holding this range right here, right? I don't want it to go much lower than this general range right here. Essentially, is it today's low? Yeah, pretty much like today's low, roughly, I would say, ish. No, not today's low. What was today's low? Let me just double check that quickly. No, not today's low. I'll lie, JK. I would say closer to about the mid to slightly high end of the 350s. Like I pretty much want to see you continue holding that, right? These levels right here that these candles, came down to and clearly found support. I want to see that continue happening, right? And it's pretty simple. You can see on the left over here where I have it highlighted, right here. Clearly this area was a resistance, and now we broke above it on an increasing volume. Of course, I mean it was the first hour of the day, but nonetheless, technically increasing volume. And now we're turning it back into support, which is good, right? So I want to continue doing that. But the next step for Tesla to really get that move, actually into the 370s, is going to be holding more convincingly above like 362, 363, something like that. More of that on the kind of 4 hour and daily chart. That's where I can, I look at that a little bit more specifically. Now, why is that, right? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, first of all, as long as we continue holding the level I just mentioned, the mid to high-ish 350s, and especially about 363, 362, something like that. Well, the main reason is also, at least one of the reasons I should say, is the fact that this market bias you can see here is red on the 4 hour chart, right? Well, that would essentially, as long as we continue holding those levels for, an extended period of time, I'm not sure how long it'll take exactly, but obviously longer than right now, would turn this market bias back to being green or not red, essentially, right? I have it on white. You can see here, it's actually white and not green, but you know what I mean, right? Positive, not negative, right? Right now it's negative. So we want to continue holding around these levels, right? We don't want to lose that mid to high 350s roughly, continue holding that level and ultimately show strength above 362, 363, something like that, right? Now, why specifically 362, 363? Well, on the 4 hour or the daily, it doesn't matter. I'll go to the daily, actually, it's a little bit cleaner in my opinion, but 362, 363, the reason that level is pretty important is because this level, which, I mean, it's pretty much this line right here. You can see right here at this horizontal line, we did find some decent resistance back here. Remember when we were still creating that ascending triangle back here? Remember we were doing that ascending triangle, then we finally broke out. Well, clearly this kind of, 362-ish, we'll just say, range, clearly provided a decent amount of resistance, right? And we're kind of around that general area once again, where we're finding a little bit of issues around that 362-ish range as well. So, even on these candles here, you can see, right? Clearly this area is some resistance, including today's candle as well. So pretty simply put, we want to close a daily candle above 362-ish, give or take, of course, 363-ish, right? To show strength, really. Ultimately, it shows strength, and it shows that the bulls are essentially continuing to overcome the bears in this move up that we're currently experiencing, right? And if we can get a daily close above that kind of $2-ish range, we'll say that to me will signal strength, and that to me will tell me that, you know what, there's a damn good chance that the next move, potentially a pretty quick one as well, should make its way back up, into the 370s and potentially peeking our head into the 380s, which ultimately will also actually fully revert back to the mean, even though today's high was pretty close to it. But we can get a more cleaner reversion back to the mean, which again is one of my trading styles, right? Another good example was Marvell. I actually shared this with my members. Pretty simple stuff, right? Also got near the Bollinger Bands, got oversold in the RSI, and look at that beautiful reversion back to the mean. I actually ended up not playing that mainly because I'm in too many other things, and I don't like having too many things I'm in at the same time. It gets a little confusing, honestly. It's not my style. I like to focus on like 5-ish stocks at any one time, but that's just me, of course. But nonetheless, that's kind of the perspective. Now, obviously, that's the more bullish perspective. Let's say things don't go as planned. Let's say maybe we do lose this level over here. Maybe we don't actually hold this kind of 3-5, mid to high-ish, we'll say 350s, right? Let's say we actually lose it. Something happens, maybe some news comes out or whatever the case may be. And let's say we lose it. We lose the market bias. We lose this potential retest right here as well. Also around the mid 350s of this, little bullish wedge that we just broke out of today, right? Let's say this all collapses. Nothing goes well. And you know what? Sometimes it is like that, right? Sometimes it can be like that. And let's just say that happens. Well, that would tell me that obviously momentum to the upside has officially faded, at least short term. And that will also most likely tell me that at the very least, we can come back down to these levels down here, potentially even looking for a double bottom all the way back down closer to this, 330, mid 220s ish range, right? We could potentially be setting up something that looks like this, which can potentially on the daily chart at least, or the 4-hour chart, if I go here, let's say, potentially could show a bit of a bullish divergence where we essentially make equal lows or potentially even lower lows, but let's just say equal lows for now. But the RSI makes a nice higher low that is a medium strength bullish divergence. But again, this is me thinking out loud and thinking more in the what ifs type scenarios here, right? What if we lose the 350s, mid 350s, let's say, ish. This is kind of what I would foresee happening, right? I would see us most likely coming back down to about 330. That becomes a very realistic target once again. Worst case scenario still is that lower low closer to the actual gap fill, which kind of the fair value gap we have here, which would put us somewhere in the 3 teens. That would be like the worst case scenario in my opinion, which then I still think would most likely print an even stronger bullish divergence. And I still think from there we would most likely make that low and head higher regardless. It's just a matter of, which one happens first. Do we just go straight from here or, whatever, like which one happens? Nobody knows for sure, but those are the levels you want to look for, right? And those are the levels you want to pay attention to. Again, losing those levels should signify, pretty much everything I said for the bullish and the bearish perspectives throughout this video. So again, just watch for those. And that's pretty much what I'm doing as well. Now the flip side, the good news is the fact that the MACD, you can see, is getting close to flipping bear or bullish, right? You can see over here, it had a bit of a curling action, ended up being a false sense of hope, I guess you can say. If that's, I don't know, maybe that's a kind of a dark or depressing way to put it, but it ended up being a false sense of hope essentially for the bulls on this curling right here, right? This could be that, but the difference now is the fact that we're curling at a much lower level as opposed to up here, which was still arguably in the more elevated territory potentially, right? This even after this drawdown, evidently so us curling here, in my opinion, is more convincing than what the curling potentially was showing here, which I like. So the MACD is getting close to that bullish crossover, which will be a nice positive sign for the bulls as well, and show a little bit of extra strength, right? It's like another check mark essentially to add to the list of potential bullish, I guess catalysts is the best word here, that are potentially coming in for Tesla stock to potentially make that move higher ultimately. Again, at the very least, the 370s. Now, again, best case scenario, however, because again, don't forget, if we make our way up here, we could just get a rejection and definitely make our way back down again, which we'll go over, if and when, of course, the time comes. But the ultimate, true bull case scenario is actually a full-on breakout, come back, retest this area, and then make our way higher. This is like the true bull case. This is like the bullish case, right? The bullish case, but still potentially not fully bullish, is we do reject here, come back down, make a low somewhere around here. We'll draw some Fibonacci's, of course, figure that out, and we head up higher. However, the more bearish short-term case, but still I think bullish longer term, but the short-term, like much more bearish case would be, we pretty much, whether we get the move up here or we go straight down from here is irrelevant, but ultimately this general area we reject and ultimately make our way down to the bottom end of the channel one more time for ultimately a lower low, in the low 300s, let's say. And then from there we find that ultimate bottom and then we bounce from there. So yeah, those are the main three scenarios, but again, I gave you the levels to watch for. Let's see what those levels suggest. Again, I'm not a fortune teller. Nobody's a fortune teller. You're not, I'm not, nobody is. Nobody knows what's going to happen next, but we use these levels as a trader using technical analysis to increase the probabilities of figuring out what the higher probable outcome is based on what the chart is saying and what the chart is showing us and what the price action is saying, right? That's essentially what it is. And those are the things that I can foresee happening based on the levels I also mentioned. So let's see how it plays out. But that's kind of what I got for you. In terms of options flow on Charter Flow, which by the way, Charter Flow is a pretty great option service program if you're someone that likes to look into options. I have a link to it down below with a discount if you use my link, so definitely check it out. But Tesla pretty mixed throughout the day. A lot of options flow in Tesla, a lot of puts came in here, and this could have been, these were all pretty damn short dated actually, even for this Friday. A lot of puts came in on Tesla here, but this was before Tesla had that drop, because everything kind of dropped very sharply briefly over here. You can see right here, right, this little drop right here. So there's a damn good chance that they were just, maybe someone knew something, or I don't know, man. You never know in this market, there's a lot of fishy stuff happening, but maybe someone knew that this was going to happen. This kind of moved because it wasn't just Tesla. A lot of stocks had this like little fall, or NVIDIA had it too. A lot of things fell during that period in time, essentially. Some less than others, of course, but maybe someone knew. And that's what these puts were for, because again, they were for this Friday. Most of them were for this Friday. So that's potentially done, but we'll see how it actually plays out. But overall, other than that kind of very short-term play that maybe someone played this specific scenario, someone knew something, who knows. Pretty mixed. I'm not gonna lie, pretty mixed. Not really giving me a clear indication one way or the other. But yeah, that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one tomorrow. Peace.